and tell me the story of what happened to you last week.
Okay. It was Friday during the day. My son had started getting like a cough that got a little bit more persistent as the day went on. It was like a regular day. We went to the zoo. My mother-in-law was in town for the weekend, and that night when I went to go put him to bed, he was still coughing a lot, which is unusual. When he gets a cough, usually he'll just sleep it off. So I went to check on him, and his breathing was kind of heavy, like fast breathing and like kind of crackly and a little wheezy, which he's never had before. So I kind of even debated going in at all. I was like, maybe we'll just wait till morning time. But I was a little nervous that it might have been pneumonia or something, because my kids have never had pneumonia, so I didn't know what. I've heard that like a crackly cough or breathing could sometimes mean that, and so I didn't want it to be something serious. Another nebulizer treatment, and after all that, the wheezing stopped, his breathing had kind of calmed down, and he, I was like, okay, they did a chest x-ray also to rule out pneumonia or a bacterial infection, which that came back, and it was not either of those things. They were like, it's just something viral. So with something viral, there's nothing that they can do. Like, there's no medicine or anything, which, like I said, he's been sick many times before. So once they had done the treatments and the steroid, and they told me it wasn't something serious like a bacterial thing or pneumonia, I felt like, okay, like this is just something he's sick and it'll pass. But they had told me they wanted me to admit him into the hospital for a hospital stay. And at this point, it was already like 2 o'clock in the morning. I had gotten there at 11, and we had been there for hours. And I was like, well, I mean, you guys have done the 2 treatments. The doctor even said the steroid can take 4 to 6 hours to really take effect. I'm like, you guys haven't even given his body time to rest, and he was tired and over it and kept pulling, like, the oxygen off his face. He didn't want that. And so I was like, I really think he'll be fine. He just needs to get home, get some rest. And they kind of basically from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the morning was me basically telling them, like, I want to go home. I don't feel like I need to be admitted with him. And it was just they just kept saying, well, we'll just keep monitoring him. And then they wanted me to, so they wanted his oxygen level numbers, I guess, to be at like a certain point too. That was another thing they kept saying. It keeps going under 90. It keeps dipping under 90. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, it was going back up. It would go up a little bit, and then it would go down. And after the second treatment, it was steady in the mid-90s, which is what he had said is what they wanted it to be at. And then they had also mentioned to me that if he got admitted into the hospital, because I was like, well, what are you guys going to do that I can't do at home? Like, if it's just going to be the albuterol, can I not have a nebulizer to take home and do the treatments at home? Like, why do I have to be admitted for that? Because that is what he had said they were going to do. It would just be a constant nebulizer treatment on him. And then they wanted to do like an IV on him, which I didn't really feel like that was necessary either. And so I was like, can I not get a nebulizer treatment to take home and give to him? Because I know people get those from their pediatricians all the time. Just after hearing that it wasn't as serious as I thought and all that, I was just really wanting to take him home, let him rest, let the meds he had gotten so far, do its work on him. But the doctor was not happy with that at all. He kept basically making me feel like if I take him home, he's going to die, like he's going to go into respiratory failure. He is going to go into a coma because he's not going to have oxygen lack of oxygen, like if he falls asleep, his breathing's going to stop. Like, awful things they were saying to me when I felt very confident the first time I had told them, like, I want to take him home. Like, I know all the things that you checked him for. I feel confident with the medicine working. I know my kid. And he just kind of got a little bit like, you know, like I was being like crazy for wanting to take him home and very like adamant about me staying there. And so, yeah, like I said, from 2 until 6 in the morning was basically me being like, okay, like, his levels are going up. Can we please go home now? And I had said multiple times, like, I don't feel comfortable with the treatment that they're doing. Like, I feel very pressured and not good about things. And so finally, when it was like 5 in the morning, I was like, okay, this is, like, enough. Like, I want to get home. I hadn't slept all night. My child was tired and over it. And so I was like, I want to leave. Like, I need to get out of here. I will sign the papers saying I'm declining medical advice, but I need to leave now. This is enough of this. And so he was like, okay, I'll go get the papers, and then you can leave. So he went to go get the papers, and instead a social worker came in. And she was like, I just want you to know that you're going against medical advice, and this will possibly open up a CPS case against you, and CPS will come to your house possibly for a visit. And I was like, okay, well, then do that, because this is ridiculous. I have no reason. I am a perfectly, capable mom. I came in here for something that I felt confident about, and now I'm, like, almost being held against my will to leave. Like, I walked into this emergency room. I should be able to walk out of it. And so, whatever, sign their paper saying that which I had actually said, do I need to sign this? Because I don't even feel like I should be signing this. Like, I should just be able to leave. But they were insistent that it was just that me acknowledging that I'm declining the medical advice. So, signed the paperwork, left, and I pull into my driveway, and a police officer pulls up behind me. And she says the hospital called her and told her that I need to bring this child back to the hospital because it is a medical emergency and he could go into respiratory failure. And I was like, ma'am, I have just been up all night long. My child is tired. We just want to go inside, regroup. If I feel that he is still breathing scary or in distress, I absolutely will bring him back to the hospital. I'm going to get his pediatrician to look at him in the morning when their walk-in hours open. There's no reason for me to go back and admit him into the hospital right now. So she leaves. Then, do you want me to keep going?
Yes, keep going, keep going. You're doing great.
Okay, so then, like I said, my mother-in-law's in town for the weekend. They all wake up. I fill them in on what's going on. At this point, my son is, like, running around, like, playing. Like, he is not at all, like, in distress at all. It's clear that he is okay. Like, I mean, he's coughing and his breathing is still, a little bit elevated, but he's not lying on his deathbed right now. He wanted to go get donuts with her, so they went and got donuts. They came home, and they were, like, at the table, and my daughter with their grandma painting cars. She brought these, like, little wooden cars over for them to paint. They're playing. We get a knock on the door. It's 2 police officers. And they said the hospital called them and feels like the child needs to be brought back to the hospital, and now CPS is coming as well to come and talk to us. So the police officers were, like, hanging around waiting for the CPS lady to come. They saw that he was running around playing, acting fine. Like, they even felt like that was kind of extreme. Like, they didn't see any sort of emergency situation where they felt he needed to be brought to a hospital. And so when the CPS lady came in, she, like, asked us, like, questions, said how, the hospital feels that, like, if something were to happen to him, blah, 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 like, they really feel like I need to bring him back in. And I think she expected the police to force me to bring him back in, but because they saw that he was not in any sort of danger. Because she had said something like, well, you know, if they choose to, like, press charges or something like, I think she thought that they were going to see him and think, oh my gosh, yeah, this boy has to go back. You have to take him back. And then they would have, like, followed me with that. But they saw he was acting fine, so they were like, we're not going to make her take him. And so she had called her supervisor and I guess had to tell her, like, yeah, so this kid's not really, like, in distress like the hospital made it out to seem, is what I'm assuming she's telling her supervisor, because then she came back in and her supervisor, what went from, like, you have to have a pediatrician today say he's okay, medically cleared, to just, we're going to follow up with you next week and make sure that, like, everything's okay with him. So, and then, I mean, fast forward, now I'm done dealing with the CPS. She even said, I apologize for coming in hot on Saturday, but the hospital made it out like if I didn't get this kid back to the hospital, he was going to die. Like, those were her words. And so, whatever. So then she leaves after asking us questions about our parenting, looking in the kids' bedrooms, looking in our refrigerator. I guess that's standard CPS protocol. And then she, like, asked my kids questions. Like, all of this just so unnecessary for something that, like, my kid was, like, literally fine. I'm just like, we're being put through all of this for what? And, so then I was getting really anxious because I'm like, now I have CPS involved. Like, what if they try to take my kids away or something? So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to, and then on top of that morning when I got home, I had, who is a nurse practitioner at a pediatrician's office, a friend of mine, come in, this was before the cops showed up that morning, to also assess and make sure that I made the right call and that I know my child. Like, is he in distress? Do you feel concerned? Do you think I should have admitted? She checked his oxygen levels. They were fine. She was like, just continue doing the treatments every 4 hours. I don't feel like he needs to be admitted. No, he is not in distress. So, and that's another thing I had told the CPS lady and the police. Like, I had a nurse come in and look at him. Like, he is not in an emergency situation that he has to be admitted to a hospital right now. But anyway, so then the CPS lady came, and it just got me really scared. Like, they're going to try to take my kid away or something. So I'm like, let me go to urgent care. I went to Dayton Children's Urgent Care and get them also to give me, like, an official statement saying something. So I went to Dayton Children's. The nurse there looked at him, and same thing. He's fine to go home, monitor his breathing, continue the treatments, just as I had thought and had been doing. So I got that, like, after visit summary from them, and I sent it to the CPS lady, like, hey, look, now this is another person, medical person, saying that he is in fact fine to be home. Like, why am I being put through the ringer over something that has been proven, you know? And so she was like, okay, I will follow up with you next week for another visit. And then she came on Tuesday. I went to his pediatrician's on Monday, scheduled an appointment, saw his pediatrician Monday. Nothing alarming there. Again, oxygen levels were fine. She said just continue the treatment. She gave me a nebulizer, which is something like the hospital should have done if they were so concerned about me taking him home. Instead, they gave me like an inhaler sort of breathing treatment, which is less effective than a nebulizer is. She gave me a nebulizer and said this will work better if you ever need it in the future. And same thing, just kind of filled me in on like why his breathing got so crazy was probably because sometimes kids can get like sickness-induced asthma, but that's not necessarily what he has. There's no way to know. It just could be a fluke thing. You just have to watch, like, if he gets sick over the course of the next few months and see how he is. But considering his history of being sick and he's never had breathing issues, it's probably just this virus. But anyway, so she said, I'll see you back in 3 weeks and we'll check up on him and see how it's going. And then, so I told that to the CPS lady, and then she came Tuesday for another visit and basically was like, I feel confident closing this case. I don't see any neglect, and I'll just double check with your pediatrician, and by Friday, you guys should have the case closed. Which, I mean, you know, I didn't expect anything different. I mean, it was crazy to me, and I understand CPS doing their job, but it's more so the hospital that is crazy to me, that they're getting police involved and CPS involved. Like, all of this for nothing, like, to cause all of this stress on me for the weekend, and to put all that fear in me about my child, who I know better, and I clearly was right about. Multiple people, 3 medical people, all said that he was fine. And I don't know, like, it's just crazy to me that this all even came about.
And your son is okay now, correct?
Yeah, the cough is cleared up. He is fine. I mean, even, I would say by, like, Tuesday already was pretty much over this virus. I mean, the albuterol treatments I had stopped doing Sunday, because they said at that point, or Monday, I mean, because they said at that point it's just like an as needed. You're not even supposed to keep with it. And he was doing fine, hardly coughing, so then we finished with that, and, I mean, he's totally back to normal. I mean, he was even acting fine on the weekend. It was just, he still had a little bit of a cough, and then his breathing was just a little bit, you know, a little bit slow, because his body was still working through it.
Do you remember any names of any of the doctors or nurses by first name?
I mostly just know them. So at the time that we had gotten in there, one of the doctors was ending her shift, so I only dealt with her briefly. And then the main doctor was Dr. Stratton. It's in the medical summary they gave me. I don't know his first name, and he is who I dealt with the majority of the time. And then there was a few nurses, who the nurses were pretty great, most of them. I didn't really feel, you know, it was mostly just the doctor, and then there was one charge nurse who wasn't exactly, you know.
And this is, I'm talking to you on a Tuesday. This was 2 Fridays ago?
Yes.
All right. And there's been no past issues out of your household relating to CPS. Is this the first time you ever had to deal with CPS on your family?
Yes.
Is there any past legal issues of criminality that you and your husband have had in the past?
No.
All right. Do you remember the social workers' names, if you remember, first names or anything? And where were they? Were these social workers from the county?
Yes.
What county? What county?
Butler County.
Okay. And what police department came?
Monroe.
Okay. I tell you right now, you did a great job. If I have some follow-ups, if I get this transcribed, I will. And I'm also going to send you some forms. But thank you. What happened to you is awful. And good for you for standing up to them. And I just can't thank you enough. You did a great job. Great job.
Now, I will say, too, one other thing. I was looking back on their, like, medical report that they do, like, the after-visit summary on my chart that you can look at. And there was, like, also a point where the doctor had claimed that I was taking his oxygen mask off, which is completely untrue. He is 4 years old and had never been in a hospital before and was sick of having those, like, prongs up in his nose. So he kept pulling it out. So at one point the nurse was like, let me try the mask. And she had given him a mask instead. Now it's, you know, middle of the night. He's trying to sleep with this mask on his face. And he kept pulling it off. After me trying to put it back on him multiple times and then him just getting angry about it, I was like, this isn't worth the fight, especially since I feel like he didn't even need the oxygen anyway. I'm like, I'm not going to keep fighting him with it. Then fine, just, you don't have to wear it. So it was laying, like, next to him, you know. And so once it was towards the end of the night and I had told the doctor, his levels have been in the mid-90s, you know, like, I want to go home now because they've been fine. He was like, well, he's still getting blow-by, technically, so he turned the oxygen off, like, as if that mask being next to him was what was still causing the levels to go up. And I'm like, okay, turn it off. Let me wait another hour for you to come back in and check on me and still be right about it, which sure enough, he turned the oxygen off, and I had to wait like a whole nother hour before he came back in, because you know how it is in the ER. It's like you see them once every hour or
Right.
whatever. And when he came back in, I was like, okay, like levels are still up. Now can we go home? But he had written in the report that I was like taking the mask off of him and things, like as if I was trying to not give him the medical care that he needed or whatever. Like, I'm not, why would I purposely do things to hurt my child? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Or they were at one point also said something about how he looked very tired, and so I'm like, it's the middle of the night. He is tired and he's sick. Like, what else do you expect him to look like?
Right.
So I don't know. It's just,
Is there anything else?
like that?
Is there anything else in the records, or anything else you'd like to share before we end it?
No, I mean, other than them multiple times putting it in caps that he was in medical distress, respiratory distress, even though there was many also times in the report where his levels were in the 90s. So, I mean, that just, I don't understand how you can be in distress but still be in the 90s, and then...
Based on what you're saying, it seems clear that they were trying to make a false record to support their actions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like there was any sort of distress that required an admission, and I think that there was multiple, times where his levels were fine, that it was not a necessary medical stay. And so for them to keep claiming I was going against medical advice, I mean, the medical advice, the proof was in it was in there. He was fine. And then he was proven to be fine after I left that morning and that afternoon and the next day. So